What is up, guys? Teddy Cornwell here. Welcome to the Underdog Talk podcast. And there's something about the underdog. You see him muscles out today. We'll say it. We'll say it. He's retired, but he's still looking good. I mean, the one and only Jason Kipnis. How you doing today, sir? How's this Wednesday treating you, and how's life going for you?
Life is going well. Life is going better now that I'm on this podcast. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here, and I'm excited to talk about whatever we can talk about today.
Well, I want to talk ball, and I
Let's
know
do it.
I mentioned to you off air, my team is the Orioles, and one of your team was the Guardians. And right now, I think we're winning, but yesterday it didn't look too good for us. Um, Obviously, the MLB is looking really good right now. It's looking really good. I mean, we got a lot of young stars. Early prediction: who is your World Series champion for this season?
I mean, it's not really a reach to say the Dodgers are the early
Mm,
favorites with the roster that they got,
Yeah,
and they're not even fully healthy, which is the scary
yeah.
part. You got Kershaw making rehab starts. You got
Freeman's
I
still.
think Dustin May just came back.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean that lineup's just silly at times, and there's no reason to not say that they can run it back if everything works out.
Yeah. And speaking of that lineup, they arguably have the best player in the MLB. Would you say Shohei is the best player in the MLB overall, or would you still say it's an Aaron Judge kind of player?
You know what? You got to give it to Shohei just for what he's
Mhm.
doing, just for the
Yeah.
fact, and even when he's not pitching yet, or right, he's not back.
I don't think so.
Yeah, still not there. I was gonna say, I was like, unless I missed it. It- the fact that Judge is even that close is a
Yeah.
credit to him with how good he is, because boy, is he a fun player to watch and one of the best ever in this game in terms of just that's everything you want out of a superstar is Aaron Judge. He's fantastic in all realms of the game. Handles the media. But what Shohei does is just different to be able to do not only have that power numbers, but to have the speed on the base pass. And then if he comes back and he's throwing again, like you just those, it's just you haven't really seen it. You haven't, and not at least our eras. Besides him, you hear about the Babe Ruth and you hear about all these two-way guys, but no, we've never seen it in our era until this guy, and it's just outstanding to watch.
And the reason Jason, I brought that up about the young guys and, kind of the current MLB is because I want to ask you, who do you compare? Who's similar to your game that's playing now? Who's a player that kind of, you see the similarities between your game and his game?
Um, Well, I think he does it a lot better than I do. But there's some guys who I really do. I like. I love a Gunnar Henderson on
Yep.
Baltimore. I love a Bobby Witt Jr. Both those guys pretty much probably do it better than I ever did right now as their first couple years. That's how good these young studs are. But they look like they have fun. They have fun competing, and that's what I did a lot. I just had fun. I didn't. Uh, have my best stuff every single day, but you knew you were going to get my best chance every single day. You knew you were going to get my best foot forward, and that at whatever I had that day, I was coming with you at. And those guys just grind it out. They slide head first. They love getting dirty. They love playing the game. But yeah, they're better, both better probably than I ever was. But I see a lot in those guys where I was like, I'd like to lace up next to them.
I think you're being humble. You had an amazing career, a legendary career, and you could tell, you worked your ass off. That I mean,
Yeah.
that's simply how your game translated to me when I watched you and when I watch, your highlights. You can see you give it your all. So I can totally agree on that. Do you miss obviously post, MLB? I always love to ask athletes, do you miss playing ball? Do you have that itch to get back into the bigs?
You know what? My answer has actually been different when I've been asked this question a couple times where
Wow.
like it's been yes, and then it's been like, no, I don't miss it. I don't miss the grind. And I think I've come to the point where it's like, of course I miss it. Of
Yeah.
course it's such a cool part of my life, such a cool era to have gone through period. And the ups and downs, I would do them all over again just to lace it up one more game, to play in front of fans and have that rush, the adrenaline, all that. It's would never give any of it back. It was so much fun. Do I miss certainly the travel and the schedules? Like, no, there's little stuff. Yeah, I'm much happier now and content and being on a golf course than I am in a baseball field. But I'd be lying if I didn't say that I absolutely miss it, because it's just so much fun. It's so much fun.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't think many people can understand what it is to be a professional athlete. I mean, you are doing 365 days a
Oh,
year.
yeah.
This is the game you are living, loving, and obviously to go past the game, it's a different kind of change of pace. What have you learned about yourself post playing ball, Jason?
I learned very fast that I'm not good without structure.
Hmm.
I'm not good without a purpose, and those two things hit me like a ton of bricks when I retired. I think since we've all played, we as in like the guys in the major leagues all played since we were kids. All we've known is baseball. All we've known is that you got to practice coming up. You got a game this day. You got to be here for a meeting this, then whatever it is, it's on a schedule. So you have this structure in your life without even knowing that you have it, but it's just because you've always had something the next day or that day or where to be when. And you retire, and I got home and I'm just sitting there and it's like the TV's off. I'm in a quiet space in my living room and I'm just like, oh man, I have nothing to do right now. It's
Yeah.
like nobody's coming to get me. Nobody's coming to grab my hand to take me to a meeting or to a media thing. It's like, oh crap, it's up to me to do something right now. What do I want to do? What do I want to do outside of baseball? Who am I outside of baseball? So it really hits you hard after you retire. I know I'm not the only one that can say that. Um, and then that's where you have to find your purpose again, because baseball had been our purpose, being great in baseball, achieving success, whatever it may be. That was our purpose. But then you get home and it's just like, is your purpose a family? Is your purpose happiness? Is your purpose more money? It's like you really have to start thinking about these questions that you never thought about before and start to answer them, which you've never had to answer before. And it's not an easy question. It's not an easy answer. And it's the people who are fortunate are the ones who already have that answered kind of going into that next phase rather. And I did not though. So that took some time. It wasn't an easy process by any means. But yeah, no, I learned that structure and purpose were two things that I needed very much in my life.
I think it takes a man to admit, where we can work on. And I think,
Yeah.
Brian Urlacher was on the podcast and he, a different sport, but still that same athlete mindset. He's done football. You're done baseball. Now what do? You got to find a hobby. And you and Brian actually, funny enough, both found golf, which is interesting to me. And oftentimes I think about that, how difficult it is for athletes post playing the game they love to kind of. I think one of these athletes I had on the podcast said, get back into that normal life, that everyday life where you're not going to the ballpark, you're not going to the stadium, you're not training. It definitely is an adjustment, and I can never relate to that. I was my ball skills were not that good. In fact, Jason, when I was playing ball at a little league, and I was the guy who would jump away from the ball. So when you said "we," I knew you weren't referring to me. So I just want to put that in clarification.
Golf becomes an easy option for athletes when they're retired because it's a frustrating as hell sport.
Mm-hmm.
It's a battle of your mental side and your physical side at the same time, is which we loved and we're so accustomed to doing. It gives you that competition factor, not only against the game itself, but if you're playing with buddies. And it's not you don't have to be in the best shape to play golf. I will say that. But it's a perfect mashup of what we're looking for and what we want out of our next career. So I think it allows us to stay athletic, stay outdoors, moving around a little bit, and also gives us that competition factor.
Jason, I don't want to keep on hyping you up, but in the introduction, I did say sun's out, guns out. You are looking good, man. So, hey, whatever you're doing, keep it up. And I totally agree on that. Golf is definitely a challenging game. I've not mastered that yet. So more power to you for that.
I don't think you master golf. That's why. I think that's the fun part. I don't think you ever master golf.
That's true. I mean, even we just saw Rory, and even though he was a master, he's still struggling on certain things. And I totally agree on that. Now, kind of taking it back to your ball days, obviously something that stood out to me was your leadership. You could tell you were a leader in the clubhouse. How did you handle the pressure of being a leader in the clubhouse, especially in the postseason, which you were in? How did you kind of navigate all that, Jason?
You know what? I was very fortunate to have my teammates be some of my closest friends as well.
Mm-hmm.
When I played with them for that long, whether it's the Michael Brantleys, the
Wow.
Corey Klubers, Jan Gomes, Josh Tomlins, these are guys I played with 6-7 years. So it's like I'm talking to them as a peer as they can talk to me as a peer. So there really wasn't anything off limits of what could be said to the next guy. The problem was for me is that Kluber is not that talkative. Brantley's quiet as well. Like I was with quiet teammates, so I was like, oh crap, that means I have to be one that kind of speaks up and maybe the bad guy at times. But you know what? I think it's just sometimes it's for everybody. Sometimes it's even for myself. Sometimes I might be hyping someone up, but it's also just to get my nerves out too that I'm expressing in a way. And I don't think it was ever like I was a captain by any means. We had tons of captains on that team, and I think that was the best part about us. It was just people spoke freely, and I just might have been one of the louder ones comparatively to some of the other teammates. But I played with emotion. I had to make it mean something to me every day because I probably skill wise was not on par with a lot of these players. So it's like unless if I drop my guard down for even a second, maybe I'm not going to belong on that field with them. So I had to be locked in. I had to be giving my all, and so it made sense to me to make each game mean something to me.
Yeah. And obviously going back to what you said earlier and kind of going back to what you just said now, obviously it wasn't all sunshine and roses, slumps
Mhm.
and tough stretches happen in ball. What kind of mindset or routine, Jason, helped you reset the most and then get back to that champion mentality that you had?
Well, you're talking to a right guy on that one. I was consistently inconsistent. I was a very streaky player at times. I'd have bad Aprils and I've had scorching hot Mays, and then I'd come back down to reality, and you just didn't know which one. Sometimes it's like I could be over 4 Ks, or I could literally be Babe Ruth that day and stuff. So it's like it's just that's why I had to lock in too. So the mentality is, and this is what I want to, if I were to ever preach for other younger guys, is if once it's behind you, it's behind you.
Yeah.
Once that at bat's done, it's done. The errors happen, it's done. Once that loss as a pitcher or the game you guys lose, that you've lost, it's over. The best thing you can do is focus on what's next. What's my next at bat? What's the next pitch or ball that might be hit to me, or what's the next game we have to win? It's all of waste of time
Yeah.
to hang your hat on something that's already happened. I'm not saying don't learn from it. I'm not saying don't go and watch film. I'm not saying don't do any of that, study it, but to just have it impact you emotionally because it is draining to hang on to certain stuff. Most stuff, even that, and ride waves. And I certainly am guilty of riding a lot of waves in my career of slamming helmets during slumps or something like that where I'd let it get to me. But there's just little ways where it's like, as soon as I slam the helmet, though, you could ask my teammates, like, that at bat was behind me.
Yeah.
You can tell me a joke right when I'm like slamming something, and I will laugh at the joke. It's like it's not the healthiest way, and I admit that, but it's like I was getting it out of my system fast because I knew it was slam done out of my system. Let's work on the mess. There's guys, and I recommend not going to that route to anybody. Don't slam stuff; it's a bad look. Your teammates don't, you hate it. Then like another teammate would slam something, I'd be like, "Oh, is that what I look like?" Or I was like, "Oh, I don't like that." But I did it. So I can't like go back and change it now. But I think you have to keep your eyes on what's important. You have to keep the main thing always, and that's what's ahead of you. The game's ahead of you. The whole game of baseball is reactionary, so it's how you're reacting. If you're still concentrating on something that's happened, you cannot give your full attention to what's ahead of you.
And yeah, I think that's a good mindset for anything in life. And Jake Fraley, who's on the Reds, also kind of echoed that same thing. It's a game of next mentality up kind of thing. You
Yeah.
got it. I mean, you get a strike and you're looking. There's another ball coming right at you. You got to be ready for that. I think that's a great mindset to have, Jason. So I commend you on that. And obviously, it did work out for you. As like you mentioned, your hustle just showed, and I keep on bringing that hustle to you. Now, looking back from your rookie year to obviously your final year in the MLB, there
Mhm.
was a lot of changes in your game. What was one of the biggest changes you noticed? Obviously, being a rookie to your final season in MLB.
Confidence.
Okay.
Uh, I knew I could do it. When you're a rookie, you come up, question whether you belong, whether you can do this, because it is a different game from the AAA to the big leagues jump is something else. You're seeing pitchers and stuff done that you just have never seen before. You're dealing in stadiums and lights and cameras you've never done before. So by the end, I was so used to it. I was used to the big stage. I was used to, there was nothing that could surprise me really anymore about the game. So I think confidence would be my first answer. Other than that, though, it's just I still tried to play as a rookie mentally, where I was like trying to be a sponge. I would try to always be learning. Same thing similar to golf. There's like you can still nothing may have surprised me anymore, but I could still learn everything about the game of baseball. There's still always something I could learn. So I didn't act like I had all the answers. I don't know what I don't know, and I carry that motto into my daily life. But as you've gained experience and composure from that too, I think your confidence just becomes stronger and more rooted in what you believe and what you've done, and you get less things shaky on the field than when they used to.
100%. And if you were to change something, and you don't have the answer can be no. If you were breaking into the league today, Jason, how would you approach your game differently than when you joined the game so many years ago?
I don't think I would approach the game differently. I played at like that one speed, which was just as hard as I could. So I wouldn't change too much about that. The one thing I might tell my younger self, or if I was a new self, to enjoy it a little bit more.
Wow.
And believe me, I don't think too many people had more fun playing in the big leagues than I did. I had a blast day in, day out. I really tried to smell the roses and look around. And I always understood that I'm still playing a kid's game and all that. But when we go back to whether it's a helmet toss or something like that, it's like relax, breathe. It's part of the process to just like understand that some more and to not beat myself up or hold it against me or in any way or let it affect me more than I have. So it's even what we were talking about earlier now, it's from experience. I'm able to say that's what I struggle with. And this is why I'm saying for younger generations to get your mental side in check, because it can be an absolute tool for you to use.
And you mentioned, playing the game that you love. Do you ever when did it really set in that you were in the MLB? Obviously, going from AAA. When was it your first game you were like, "Holy crap, I am in the major leagues." What was that one game for you that you just kind of took it all in?
Yeah, you have that absolute coming to moment, and that you're like, because you're just starstruck a little
Yeah.
bit, and
Mhm.
up until that point, it's so surreal, and it's not even real. Where it's just every team, especially like again, even through my last season, I played as a fan. Like I have my first couple years though, where I'm playing against guys I looked up to, guys I played video games as, guys like I hit a double versus the Yankees and Derek Jeter standing right there. I'm a Chicago kid. I get walked Paul Konerkos at first base saying good eye. Like there's little things where you're just like internally you are playing it so cool. You're just like, oh, thanks, Paul. Like, oh, appreciate that. And you're just like, but you're screaming it internally as well. I'm sorry, externally you're saying that,
Yeah.
internally screaming. The inner kid's like, oh my God, oh my God. You're like, I can't ask for your autograph at second base, can I? Like it's just, there's little things. So I don't know. There's just
Yeah.
the kid in you needs to be always appreciated when you're playing the game of baseball. I don't even remember the question that I'm trying to talk about now because I'm already like I'm thinking back about all these things right now.
That's a great answer too. I was going to say, when did you kind of realize, you were in the MLB? But
Okay, yes, that's where. So when you realize it is obviously the first game
yeah,
jitters are a real thing because you're just like, holy crap, I made it. You're like, I'm actually here. I have you. Your first pitch, you're like, I'm official.
yeah,
I'm in the scorebook. I'm in the record books.
like that.
You can't take that away from me. So that part's awesome. As you start to go on and play a little bit, you have the success, and you start your idols start to become your peers.
Wow.
That is a really cool transition where you're like the confidence. You're like, oh no, I belong here,
Yeah.
and you start to realize that you're like you'll have a game. Like, let's just use the same example I had. You'll have a game against the Yankees, and we'll beat the Yankees, and on ESPN is like, and you had a good game. And you're not facing Jeter's not pitching, but it's just like on the bottom line, it's like Jeter might have been 1 for 3, and you're like, you were 3 for 4 with a home run, and you're just like, I'm on the bottom line of ESPN, and it's like, I'm one of the main reasons we won today, just because I had a good game. It was just like, holy crap, this is really happening. So it's like, I think that's one of the most underrated thing people don't ever talk about enough is for maybe I guess it could be just me too. It's just like being able to go home after games and watch on ESPN your own highlights is such an underrated, cool feeling that never got lost on me in my last year, where I was just like, do I stay up another hour just so I can watch it when it circles back around the highlight or something like that? It was just so cool what we were doing. I always appreciate it. So it's so cool.
I think that's really sick, and I've never heard that perspective, but that is really sick. Or being an all-star and just being, hey, I'm an all-star, and
Yeah.
that is really cool. Man. Or my question to you is, how cool was it when you saw someone wearing your jersey? That's got to be the
That's another
coolest.
thing. That's another thing. So that's not your coming to moment, but that's another moment that's like there's little baby steps throughout where it's just like it keeps you humbled. It keeps you like, that's awesome. That's awesome. And you're like seeing someone or a dad and a son both in your jersey come up and ask for an autograph, and you're just like, what is going on? This is
Sick.
And so it's like, again, your internal voice is so much different than how you're handling it externally, where you're just like, oh, absolutely, great to meet you. Internally, you're just like, this is the coolest thing ever because I was so appreciative of it. And so those little things that you just said, where it's just like, that's a coming to moment where you're like, I'm actually living out my dream. So you want to be able to really realize it. That's why it's weird because I had that realization. And then I also was too maybe tough on myself or didn't enjoy the process because I just wanted it so bad. So those maybe probably overlapped a little bit.
Wow. And obviously, you did make it to the MLB. You did do what you were meant to do. Was there a moment you kind of seriously doubted your path to the big leagues, Jason, where, it was kind of in doubt? And then what pushed you through that?
You know what? I've always answered this question this way. There are people who strive for greatness. There are people who know what they want. They're like, I'm getting to the big leagues.
Yeah.
That's my goal. I was kind of a flip. They're always chasing something. I always I always thought I sucked and I always thought I was being chased. So I think like the guy behind me is going to take my spot. So I'm going to work even more hard to make sure that doesn't happen. I don't think I'm good enough to be here with these guys. So I'm never going to think that I'm good enough to be here with this guy. So while we're both chasing after the same thing, he's sprinting at something and I'm sprinting to get away from something, but we're both still going on the same path. So I actually what worked for me was to never thought I belonged. And that's how it pushed myself. Yeah.
Wow.
So I never thought I was going to make the big leagues until it actually happened.
Until it happened.
So it doesn't matter what I was hitting ever. I was just like, it's not going to happen.
And then it happens, and then it's where we go to. Someone's wearing a dad and son are wearing your jersey, and you see your stats. Jason Kipnis on ESPN. We'll go 4 for 4 and 2 homers. We'll give you the extra homer on that. I'm sure you had that in your career, and that's really sick. Now, Jason, this is the Underdog Talk podcast, and to kind of add to that question, what was a moment where you were kind of underrated? That could be a high school ball, college ball, where kind of everything was stacked against you, and you kind of just did what you did, and just rose and shone.
I'm trying to think. There's like, listen, that's more for like a coming up through the minors. I think whether there's prospect rankings and stuff like that, where you're like, you could even start to think, but I'm better than that guy. Why is he higher than me? And you don't belong. But then it's just like, well, all I can do is go out and just play the game and play. And that's where that's going to talk louder than any player advocating for themselves or anything like that as they're playing between those white lines. And there might have been an all-star snub here or there where I was just like, oh, I thought I had it or something like that. Well, screw that. Then I'm going to prove them that they made the wrong pick or something like that. But it wasn't too many times, to be honest. It really wasn't too many times. Those might have been like the only two that I could think of where I thought I was undervalued or underappreciated or anything like that. Because,
100%. Now, do you still obviously, I know you keep up with ball. Have you ever thought about getting into like a coaching or a broadcasting role, Jason?
So I already am.
Okay.
Yeah. I've done radio a couple times for the Guardians so far. I did a TV game in Baltimore. It was a Baltimore Twins game, I think. I forget what broadcast, and that actually makes me sad. I can't remember. But
was it Masson? No.
I'm not even sure at this point. I don't want to say the wrong one, but I think I'm doing 2 radio for Cleveland and 1 TV so far. I'm doing 2 TV for the Cubs here in Chicago where I live. And on top, so that's the broadcast side. Coaching side, one of my best friends who I played played my whole childhood with is the varsity coach of the high school we went to. So I helped out all last year. And now that I'm back home, when I'm home, I go and I'm a assistant there for those games. So I help out whenever I can for the coaching side.
If I was a player and Jason Kipnis was there, I would be like a kid. I would be so scared, honestly. I'll be honest.
Okay, so that's what we have to get over is what I've been telling these kids, where it's like they are scared to talk to me. And I go, I'm begging you guys, please ask me questions. Anything that comes to your mind. There are no bad questions. There's no stupid questions. I was like, I'm here to help you. Use me as a soundboard. Use me as just if you're talking through your swing in your head, say it out loud in front of me. I just want to listen. Maybe I can help. So there's a lot of hesitancy from these kids to approach me. And part of my job is to make sure that I remain approachable and there if they need me, and then help where I can.
100%. To add to that, what would you tell these kids? What would your biggest tip of advice be for someone who's looking to get into the major league like you once were, sir?
Well, you got to get them to concentrate on the right things. So when we talk about keeping the main thing, that there's guys, it's very easy nowadays to see the pimped home runs or the flashiness stuff. And you're like, that's not what we want to teach at a young age. You want to make hard plays look easy. You don't want to make easy plays look hard. You don't want to try to do a glove flip when you don't need to or anything like that. You just want to go out and play the game the right way. So the ball player side of me wants these kids just to learn how to be ball players first before they worry about any of that extracurricular stuff. But you got to enjoy the game. You got to have fun playing it. You cannot, it's from experience where I was like, it's not life or death. If an 0 for 4, is not going to kill you. You're going to be okay. At the slumps, you will get another hit in your career. It's okay. It's coming. So, and that's all from experience, because I've treated it where I was like, no, I'm never going to get another hit. It's like, well, now I know. I was like, okay, I got another hit. I can hopefully teach them this and my experience from everything.
And that's where you were talking earlier, Jason, about how, just on to the next, don't let the past kind of bother you, especially with that strike or that out or whatever it may be. Now, really, finally, I just got to talk about the World Series, man. You made it to a World Series. What was the emotions of making it to the World Series like, if you mind me asking?
That was something else. Because, again, when we talk about those little checkpoints throughout your career that just keep you're like, oh, this is awesome.
Yeah.
You always want to play in the World Series. You want to know what it's like. You want to win a World Series. You want to experience that, especially by getting up there. That's always the goal. So to be able to get there was such an honor, such a privilege. To have to do it against my hometown Cubs added a little twist to it. That part kind of sucked because I grew up. I knew the lovable losers. I knew a bunch of my family and friends were all Cubs fans, season ticket holders still to this day. I got teachers from my high school wearing Cubs jerseys in the World Series shouting at me. I got getting called a traitor in the on deck circle during the thing. It's like I'm living out a childhood dream, but it's against. Am I really going to try to be the one that extends the curse? And it's like, but you almost had to adopt that villain mentality where you're just like, you know what? No, I want to piss off everybody. Like that's just, there's mental tricks that you do, but it's just, listen, we didn't come out on the right side of it. Cubs ended up winning. It was enough time has passed for me to at least say this, is that I am still very grateful and appreciative of being a part of that specific World Series. Because even when we were in the middle of it, we knew kind of how just amazing it was. Because I even as a baseball fan, I think it's one of the best ones ever.
Yeah.
And I say that even having lost it. So that part sucks, but being a part of it, I will never regret. That part is amazing. I'm so thankful I got to experience it where there's no other teams playing. Every camera's on you. Every media question's going your way. There's nothing else to talk about. There's nothing else to watch but your guys' series.
Wow.
And yeah, so it was truly a privilege to play in that. We just couldn't finish it off.
I mean, you lived every kid's dream of being able to play in the World Series, so that is something to pat your head on. And it was a hell of a series with two hell of a good teams, and obviously, maybe not the finish you want, but such a brilliant for us fans, truly an amazing series of baseball. And I think I can agree with you on that. One of the best World Series we've seen. Now, I do have to ask you, what team did you grow up cheering for? What were you a Cubs fan growing up?
So the Cubs media likes to play that I was a diehard Cubs fan. I was not a diehard Cubs fan. I liked the Cubs. I went to a sports camp that took field trips to Cubs games. I also went to White Sox games. My family went to White Sox games. This is also around the era when I think it was like the Jim Edmonds, Scott Rowland, Chris Carpenter Cardinals teams, young Pujols, who Pujols was one of my favorite players growing up. I liked the Cardinals. I liked baseball. And so that's what I really wanted to say is that I just liked baseball. I liked probably players more than teams.
Yeah.
And whether that's a factor of the home run race with Sosa McGuire, and then Bonds, where it's just captivating, where it's just like you're playing basketball in your driveway, and you're like, Sammy's up, and you're like, you run in. Like that was going on during the 98 season. So it's like I was captivated by players, maybe a little bit more than teams.
Yeah, you just love the game of ball. I totally can relate to that. Now, before we go, it's been such an honor and privilege to talk to you, Jason. I mean, truly
Fun.
one of my favorite podcasts I've done. Before we go, the floor is yours. What are you working on anything? Where can we find your social media? Obviously, you talked about that broadcasting. What's that all looking like as well? Do you know your next date? We'd love to tune in.
I will get it to you. Actually, I will
Okay.
message it to you on there. I don't know. I think it's going to be around late June. You'll see me at either the Cleveland games or the Cubs games doing TV for both of them. I think it's almost like all 4 series in this 2-week span. So it's like bam, 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 right after each other. And then I think I'll do another radio for Cleveland when they're in Arizona late August. But what's been on the docket for me when we talk about it at the start, finding a purpose, I have gotten into the hospitality industry a little bit. I've opened a couple restaurants and bars in Ohio, in Cleveland. They're down in the flats where it's just Welcome to the Farm or the Goodnight John Boy there. We had one called Seesaw in Columbus. That's now also a Goodnight John Boy. Wow. But for the last couple months, last couple years, actually, I've been working on this huge restaurant in Miami that we just opened up 2 months ago called Shiso, Shiso, like the shiso leaf. And it is outstanding. We landed the chef who I adore. He is fantastic. The food is outstanding. The vibes are amazing. So if you're anybody's ever in Miami, in the Wynwood area, the arts area, look us up, come in, mention this podcast, and maybe we'll give you a half off something. And it's been such a pleasure to put my effort and time into something again and see it come to light. But we're circling back to that question again, where now that it's open, what's next? So now, besides this broadcasting stuff, I got to am faced with that question again of what's next. Do I want to do more of these? And I would copy and paste this Shiso anywhere in the country, and I think it'll work. But I have to answer this question for myself. What do I want to do? So it's coming up, but I am ecstatic to announce the Shiso's open in Miami.
And first person to go there, send us a DM and we'll pay up to your bill for up to $100 on the Underdog Talk, because
I love it.
And what kind of food is it, if you mind me asking? Is it
it is an Asian smokehouse.
Wow.
So this guy is phenomenal. It is creative stuff. It's like, if it's an Asian dish, it has this barbecue smoked aged technique to it. If it's like a barbecue dish almost, it has this Asian technique to it. Like, it's such a combination of worlds that he does that my brain doesn't work like that. So I leave that to him, and I just sit at the front and enjoy his food as a patron a lot of times.
I love that. And Jason, do you have a Twitter? What's the social media so we can follow?
My Instagram is just Jason Kipnis 22. I lost my Twitter. I got it hacked a while ago, and I never got it back. For good reason. I think I was on my phone too much, and I just want to be like, okay, I'm on Instagram enough. I don't need to be on. I'm okay losing my Twitter. Yeah. I'll probably eventually try to get it back, whether it's for marketing purposes or what have you. But it's been a nice break from at least the Twitterverse. I don't have to read people mad at me for striking out anymore too. So that's nice to get off Twitter. But Instagram, I'm on there enough anyway. So that's enough for me right now. Jason Kipnis 22.
And first 5 people to follow Jason Kipnis, send me a DM, and we'll select one of you guys to get a Jason Kipnis jersey, because that is just something you got to rock and roll with.
I love it.
I mean, we'll do that as well. Jason, thank you, an honor and privilege, man. And you are truly a class act. Guys, don't forget to follow Jason on Instagram. Check out his restaurants. Those will all be in the description as well. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe on this video. Until next time, the big man, Jason Kipnis, and the Underdog, out.